Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here this morning. Definitely a very, very cold day up here in Toronto, Canada. I'm sure everybody is experiencing different weather patterns across the world. uh, and Our first webinar for 2016. Here today with both Michelle and Amalia, and maybe they want to say a few greetings to everyone.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar this year, and Happy New Year to everyone. And yeah, looking forward to another prosperous year.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome back.
Yeah, it seems that everybody's still trying to get back into the zone, the holiday season. Although I will tell you that I did see many consultants very active, which is great during the
Yeah.
season. Now Amal is a little bit. She's not going to be participating as much today with us. She's actually in sunny Argentina, so
Yes, I am.
she's joining us from there today. But excellent. So again, glad to be here today. Definitely look forward to a prosperous year, everyone, and also a learning year in our Launchpad webinars. We're going to be already next week, just letting you know in advance. We're going to be having a guest speaker, so we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, towards the end of the webinar, as well as we'll have. More notifications in regards to some of the things that we're working at ALM for 2016. I will tell you today will be a bit of a short webinar, short and simple and sweet, just catching up on things that happened over the past week. And Definitely starting next week, we'll go back to our regular format. I look forward to sharing not just news, but more case studies, articles on how-tos, things that are very important for 2016 that you should keep an eye on, and definitely already doing a bit of sourcing on that with the team. So for sure, next week we'll have a action-packed webinar. Today will be a light version, but yet, you know what? Nevertheless, it'll be very important. Um, uh, and the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that I did get some feedback and questions from consultants regarding last week's webinar. And Last week's webinar, we talked about a very important component that we showcased at Global Convention this year, which is a whole strategy of lead generation machine, and in specific the digital marketing blueprint. And Had some great questions from some ICs. If you missed last week's webinar, feel free to go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WSILM. We definitely have that webinar recorded. Definitely was received some pretty good feedback and questions regarding the digital marketing blueprint. So just wanted to share that with you as well. So let's move on and we'll get started. The first thing that we wanted to mention today is in regards to a recent announcement by both Bing and AOL. And As you probably remember, last year there was an official announcement where uh, Bing, was going to start powering AOL's web, mobile, and tablet search. They're part of that strategy, or well, not strategy, but partnership, if you will, was in regards to Bing providing paid search ads and algorithmic organic search results to AOL's property worldwide. So that actually kicked in already. Okay, so that has kicked in, and it is official that AOL search will be indeed providing paid search ads that are generated by Bing, or Bing powered, as well as these algorithmic organic searches. And Now, based on some of the statistics, close to one third of U.S. PC web searches are now being powered by Bing. I will talk a little bit about this because I think that throughout last year we have been talking a lot about Bing, and continue to discuss the fact that in your overall digital marketing strategy, whether it be SEO or paid search primarily, it's time to pay a closer attention to Bing and not just focus on Google. I mean, yes, Google will continue to be the primary search engine, obviously the big gorilla. However, Bing throughout the last probably 12 to 18 months have spread their wings, if you will, spread their breath into a growth of about 1/3 of US PC web searches. So definitely, that's important. So beyond providing web searches results for Series on Apple devices, most of the Bing search volume is on the desktop. So primarily they've been focused a lot on desktop. And based on some stats from last year, I mean, looking at last April, just Bing alone crossed the 20% market share threshold on the PC. Today, it stands at just under 21%. You may say, well, you know what, not a lot of growth from April till now, but when you're talking about billions of searches, obviously a percentile does make a big difference. And now that they have a partnership with Yahoo Organic and now AOL results, Bing is responsible for something like 34% of organic search results versus Google's nearly 2/3. Obviously, again, Google continues to manage 2/3, but 34% nevertheless is growing, right? Compared to where they were, 2, 3 years ago, where Bing was really faltering, right? So that's very important. Now, the importance here is to keep in mind that this is for PC web searches, right? Not for mobile. In mobile web search, Google is more dominant than on the PC with more than 90% market share according to StatCounter. Nevertheless, you know what? A big difference and a big gap, right? So I wanted to share these two um, graphs here, and these are not the most updated version, okay, in regards to explicit core search share reports, because this is only measuring November versus October. We have to wait till probably Jan 15 when we get the December numbers. But you know what? It's probably the latest ones that we have in hand, and you can definitely see that the Microsoft sites, which is Bing and Network, they have 20 or 21%. They're also now exposing themselves into Yahoo sites through their strategic partnership with Yahoo that we discussed a few months ago, and now with AOL. So when you look at all this, Bing is going to be very important in 2016 from a PC perspective. That means that definitely as a digital marketer, you have to take into consideration your clients' demographics, right? Are they mobile users, or are they still, there's a huge opportunity in desktop users, right? And targeting desktop users, specifically if they're into the B2B sectors, right? Where, a lot of these decision makers are doing the research, due diligence in terms of searching for products and services and making decisions by, going online via their desktops, right? Yes, there is an increase of mobile, and as you can see here on the right hand side, you see the big gap that I was referring to, where Google is the red line and the red markers, where you can tell that obviously they have a huge share of the market when it comes to mobile. And you see the other ones, for example, Bing and Yahoo, both are Yahoo in yellow and Bing in blue, very low. As a matter of fact, they look to be decreasing. However, you can still see that there are searches continuing to happen on desktop. So if you are more into a B2B, if you have a client who's in the B2B space, for example, in healthcare or in public sectors where people are still doing research on their desktops, you still want to have a strategy that will combine both Bing, Google, and now Bing, right? I know that for many years the big focus has been Google, but in 2016, keep a close attention when you're targeting your audience. Where does Bing, play a key? Where will they play a key role in your strategy, right? For sure, mobile. You know what? It seems that Google will be continue to grow, and perhaps in your mobile strategy, just focus primarily on Google. But on your desktop strategy, take a look at the other options as well. So interesting to note this specifically at the beginning of the year, that are as marketers, we have to be flexible, right? And we also have to take into consideration the different opportunities that exist. Okay, um, perfect. The other key news item this week is a couple of weeks ago, we talked a little bit about Google's move or their response or the recent news on Google that they will be defaulting to indexing HTTPS pages when a duplicate HTTP version also exists. So if you recall, as Google has focused more on putting a bit more emphasis on HTTPS or SSL type websites, security layered websites, many questions arose in regards to, okay, what if I have a website that is showing my HTTP non-secure pages and secure pages? How is it going to be indexed? How does it work? So Google came up with an announcement. I think it was late November, early December, I believe. I don't recall the exact date, but they mentioned that they were going to be defaulting to indexing HTTPS pages whenever there was a duplicate HTTP. So, for example, if you have a home page that is in HTTPS or secure, and then you have a homepage in an HTTP version, not secure, Google was automatically going to default to the secure page, the HTTPS. Similar thing will happen for your About Us pages. Let's say you had two versions in HTTP and in a non-HTTPS, etc. Bottom line is they're putting more focus and priority on the HTTPS version of the site, right? So as a result, there was a lot of questions from the SEO community regarding, okay, what happens to link authority? What happens to all those links that have been put together in a link bound strategy that are linking back to the HTTP version of the website, right? Because primarily when you're doing local citations, directory submissions, even social bookmarking, or even just adding links on blog posts, etc., publishing your content, you're primarily most likely going to be redirecting or linking back to the HTTP, the non-secure page, right? That's the standard. So think about all those thousands of links or hundreds of links that a website may have that are HTTP rather than HTTPS. There was a question, were there going to be any loss of link authority given this new implementation? So both actually, there was two answers from Google's John Mueller. One was, and I kind of mentioned it at the bottom here, in regards to that that Google will count the collective signals from inbound links pointing to both the HTTP and HTTPS versions of a page. This will be done automatically, so there's no need to worry about the redirects. So in essence, you don't necessarily have to have a whole redirect strategy from HTTP to HTTPS. Google will automatically, any link backs or any backlinks, sorry, that are going to the HTTP, your HTTP page will be counted for HTTPS as well. Okay, and John Mueller in two separate occasions. One of it was in, I think it was Google Groups or Google Plus. Yeah, on their Google Plus page, he actually talked a little bit about it, where he says, if we have two URLs that we know are duplicates, and that means we, meaning Google, and we pick one over the other, then we'll generally fold the signals together into that URL. It's like www / non www. You don't lose the links that point at the alternate version, even if you don't set up redirects. So good to know that we don't have to do any additional work. There's no redirects required. There's no, let's say, local citation cleanup, etc. I mean, pretty much it's going to be taken care of by Google on their side, on their end. Right, and to reconfirm Brett's tutorials, I believe from Search Engine Watch, I think actually I'm featuring him today on another article. He also asked the same question, and in this case, Gary from Google, Gary Elias, who's one of Google's top contributors, as well, mentioned that, you know what, we don't have authority, but signals should pass on. Yes, it is. If it doesn't happen after a few days, so automatically that will be taken care of. So I wanted to share that with the IC community in case you had any questions or any questions from your clients. There are some clients that tend to be a little bit more technical than others. And in any case, no issues, no problem in this case scenario with the HTTP switch over to HTTPS, which is a secure page. Excellent. The other interesting news article that I wanted to share with you today had to do with another well, it's still a growing small internet search engine, but I wanted to kind of share something interesting on DuckDuckGo, which one of their highlights, they actually were able to reach 12 million searches in a single day. So, uh, so uh, for those that don't know who DuckDuckGo is, basically it's an internet search engine that empathizes protecting searchers' privacy and avoiding the filter bubble of personalized search results. So it's a little bit more of a very unfiltered search engine in the sense that, you know what, it definitely protects your privacy. It distinguishes itself from other search engines by not profiling its users and by deliberately showing all users the same search results for a given search term. So it doesn't really target you based on your profile. It gives everyone the same results. And Again, it's only 12 million searches in a single day, but you know, it's another area where you can go out there and start trying to test some marketing campaigns with them, and I'll get into that in a second. Now, more about DuckDuckGo, which they talk about emphasizes getting information from the best sources rather than the most sources, generating search results from key crowdsource sites such as Wikipedia, and from partnerships with other search engines like Yandex, Yahoo, Bing, and Yumli. So it's a little bit of a very unique internet search engine. And One of the key things that they reached, like I mentioned, was 10 million searches per day by the end of the year, generating more than 300 million searches during the last month of the year. The site saw its average daily search numbers climb from 7.7 million to 10.8. So again, it's something that they're growing as a search engine, very minute numbers compared to the big three or the big four, if you will, when you take into consideration Yahoo, Bing, Google, Yahoo, Bing, and AOL, or even Ask.com, for example. Very minute, but there's an opportunity there. In 2015, DuckDuckGo turned 7 years old with a total of 20 developer meetup groups. The growth we saw throughout the year, culminating in over 12 million searches. Now, if you are looking to advertise in this specific internet search engine, you can actually do it through the Yahoo Bing Search Alliance network. And also affiliate relations with several companies. Again, it's a very small search engine in regards to usage compared to the others, but nevertheless, you know, if you do have a unique product or a unique service that you want to test out a pilot campaign, you know what? You can actually get the opportunity to serve ads through the Yahoo Bing Search Alliance network. Okay, and that's how they actually, you know, make their money through paid ads as well. So just wanted to share this also piece of news for, you know, those ICs who are a bit of an enthusiast on independent search engines, right? Excellent. So just moving along to the next. I know I'm getting a few questions, and I'll definitely provide our feedback on those questions in a second once we complete the rest of the slides. Okay. As a matter of fact, we actually had a few questions about this topic in the last month by a number of ICs in regards to the use of testimonials page, right? As you know, typically by default or standard, many websites have a testimonials page that that features client testimonials. And there's been a debate, you know, whether you know how effective testimonial pages are, how realistic do users and visitors to the website actually read the testimonials page? Do they actually believe what the testimonials page? I mean, the argument is, well, you know what? If you're a business, you're not going to put any bad testimonials. You're only going to put your greatest testimonials. So in reality, is it really a true indication of how great of a company you are? Anyhow, a lot of debate, you know, has been going around this issue of testimonials page. But still, you know what? Hundreds of pages, hundreds of websites, and thousands of websites still have, or millions of websites still have testimonials pages, right? This article in specific gives us a different view. And although my personal opinion is that a testimonials page can be, if used properly and wisely, can serve a purpose, right? Because you want to showcase and showcase your best reviews, and in some case, definitely creates adds credibility to any business, whether it be your clients or even your own IC businesses, versus, let's say, reviews. It's something nice that if you can actually optimize properly, it can be used. But in this article, so having said that, from my personal perspective, this article kind of goes a little bit into a couple of things in regards to, you know, how are how effective are testimonial pages in the age of today's Google My Business, right? When we're looking at local search. So because of the recent changes that have happened, for example, we lost a 7-pack and now became a 3-pack, and now Google Plus Update has removed all location information from business pages. uh, you know, in reality, what is the best way to showcase your testimonials or your reviews, right? So one of the key things that they talked about is, what, your business listing is effectively your knowledge box and your listing on Google Maps. So for sure, continue to entice, continue to motivate your customers to leave reviews, right, on Google, on my Google business, right? But in regards to that, one of the key things that he talks about is, well, you can still, as let's say, instead of having a testimonials page per se, you can create what he calls a reviews page. So putting more of an emphasis on reviews versus testimonials, right? Whereas testimonials are primarily, client satisfied clients. Reviews, you have a mix of everything, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. So sometimes, how do you want to position that? How do you want to showcase that in your website? Sometimes clients don't want to do that unless they have a specific service like customer lobby or reputation.com, right? So in his opinion, he recommends creating a reviews page that links to the various websites where customers can read the reviews they're looking for, right? And his recommendation is, so versus having a testimonials page where you just post testimonials, right? Have a reviews page, and in that reviews page, don't necessarily post the testimonials, but post the various websites where customers can read your clients' reviews, right? And I would actually take it a little bit further to that level where I would actually optimize that page, right? I would optimize that page for, for a specific keyword such as, reviews or customer reviews, etc. And you can definitely talk to your SEO team about that on what is the best way. But apart from the fact that you want to have Google at the top of the list, since Google reviews are the most visible, make sure to include any vertical directories that customers might frequent as well, right? So, if let's say, for example, you're in the if your client is in the tourism, there are specific review sites, right? That like Expedia, for example, or my mind. I just forgot about one of them that I had in my mind. But all these other review sites that deal with TripAdvisor, sorry, the big one too, right? That you may want to actually showcase on your website, right? For example, if you are in a trades industry, there are some like the Better Business Bureau, for example. So all of these different review sites that have your reviews, you can actually just dedicate a page for them, and be able to showcase those reviews, right? The only thing about it is be forewarned that when your users click to these pages, make sure first of all that a new window opens, because you don't want them to leave your site. So a new window opens, so you're gonna have to make sure that you use the proper HTML code to do that, right? Or shortcut, right? And the second thing is that when they get to that site, they pretty much get exposed to everything, right? Not just the good reviews. The other thing that he talks about is include some messaging at the top of the page that lets users know that you like them to read what past customers have said, just like you include on the standard testimonials page. And like I said, I would actually optimize that, right? The only thing is that you have to keep an eye out again, because some of these sites change, right? So it's not like you have control over these websites or these different various websites where you're that are reviews driven. So it may require a little bit more of maintenance, or you reviewing those links once in a while to make sure they're still active. Uh, the only key thing that he recommends is that don't forget that it's a bad idea to link directly to your the link to your Yelp listings, since that's discouraged by Yelp. Instead, do a Google search for your business Yelp and copy the resulting URL. Use the SERP link as your link to Yelp so people will click the link. So this is just his recommendation, as Yelp, really discourages people from kind of linking back unless they have the badge, right? The Yelp badge to their website. But anyhow, these are some of ideas where if you think that your testimonials page needs a bit of a revamp or rework, hey, why not test our reviews page? See how that goes, optimize it, do some strong SEO optimization and see how that works, right? Remember, you're not going to be you're only posting the links to these various websites, right? You're not going to be posting the actual reviews. Okay, so I thought that was an interesting way of looking at uh, uh, um, the right link. Yeah, you know what? I will definitely give you the link to this article. My apologies. I think I kind of just copy and pasted the article from another one, but I'll definitely post that towards the end of the webinar. Excellent. The other, this is actually from Search Engine Journal. Yes, this was an actual interesting. Whenever you have a chance, and I know that I try my best to showcase as many articles from Search Engine Journal because they do have some great articles, and as a matter of fact, they have some actual great podcasts and webinars that are free. If you, if so once in a while, do recommend to go to Search Engine Journal because they do have some, great content. Obviously, it's up to interpretation and discussion and opinion, but they do share a lot of great content. In this case, there was an interesting I think it was a podcast or a webinar or interview that has been recorded, and I actually put the link at the right URL at the bottom. And this was by Google's Ilya Grigorik, who's actually one of Google's engineers. And it was an interview that was conducted by one of the staff or contributors to Search Engine Journal. A very interesting article. So I wanted to share a couple of things in regards to the topics that he talks about because Ilya Grigorik is part of the engineering team at Google. In his primary focus has been on page speed and user experience. You Kind of this article talks a little bit about how important uh, in reality is page speed and how Google looks at it, and moreover, how do Google engineers look at this? So just before I move forward, if you just give me a quick second, I just have uh, I have some reference to this podcast, and just wanted to introduce Ilya. He actually is a performance engineer at Google, working on various projects such as PageSpeed, Chrome, Analytics, Google Plus, and Service Worker, which we'll talk a little bit about that. So definitely, he brings a lot of experience and a lot of insight, not just as a technician, but also as an insider, right? Working with Google. So if you do have a chance to kind of check this specific this is specific podcast, definitely, it's not that long. It's pretty short, but that has a lot of information. The main key things that I wanted to share with them is this whole thing about page speed. And they actually, in the interview, they asked him how important is it for webmasters to pay attention to page speed insights. And page speed insights, as you know, is that free tool by Google to test how fast your page downloads both on mobile and desktop. And from his perspective, as an insider working at Google and kind of understanding from a technical view, he's not part of the search team. He's more from a technical perspective. His point of view is equal. It's very important. In specific, the mobile version of your website. right? Because more and more mobile users are there's a huge increase in mobile users, and that's where things are headed for the future, right? I mean, desktop will continue to be used, as I mentioned in the previous slides, but mobile is where it's at right now. So from his opinion, when you open that page, let's say a mobile page, and you click on that link, it should render in a way that is immediately presenting the information that you're looking for, in a way that you don't need to do all of these extra actions or hunt around and try to click that 2 pixel link. And you know what? Just from a user's perspective, this holiday season, I was buying a couple of tablets for my kids because they broke their their old ones, so I had to get them tablets. So I was actually going online and trying to look at pricing, compare pricing, and I was actually doing it from my mobile. And it was interesting that uh, uh, that some pretty major companies, at least here in Canada, I won't mention any names, but pretty big companies that focus on retail sales online, they don't even have a great mobile experience. And in some case, one of the ones that I was looking at still had a desktop version of their website online, and that just deterred me, right? And one of the key things that determined me was not just the fact that it wasn't mobile friendly, but it took a long time to load on my mobile. And I was in a rush because I'm one of those Christmas shoppers that leaves everything till the end. So I was actually shopping on I think it was the 23rd. 23rd, 24th. I think I was one of those 2 days for the tablet because I wanted to get like the last best minute deal, and I didn't want to wait till Canadian Boxing Day. Anyhow, long story short, he talks about having fast downloadable websites, not only on desktop version, but specifically on the mobile version. Very important comment that people know it's by default, that's the rule. But take a look at this. He also talks about the fact that, okay, what if you have a site, right, where when you download that web page, you want to showcase images, or let's say a carousel or V slider or image slider, photo gallery, whatever you want to call it, that's a widget, or that you want to have, for example, your Facebook handler, or there's all these scripts and widgets on that home page that are weighing down your website. But you do know, right, by looking at Google Analytics and gathering data, that users actually on your website use these widgets. They actually like seeing, for example, if you're a interior decorating company, or let's say tile, you sell tiles or furniture, obviously your homepage has to have great design, right? And sometimes, you know what, you want to test how many images you should be showing on your homepage, because you don't want that widget to weigh down, you know, uh, uh, your homepage, right, and make it slow to load. But if you want to show really high quality design images, definitely you have to optimize them. But in some cases, we've seen that, you know what, all these little widgets on the homepage that are there sometimes slow down. Like, for example, the Facebook handler, even he starts talking about Google Analytics script. That script also slows it down a little bit, not a lot, because it does some recaching, right? So bottom line is, the reason I want to kind of get into this is that, try to keep your pages low on widgets and scripts. And if you can't, because you know that your clients are actually using these scripts or widgets as tools to improve user experience, you have to agree to keep and make a conscientious decision. So make a sacrifice and understand that, you know what, your site's not going to get a page speed score, because you want to make sure that your clients have a better user experience, right? And by this I mean, you know what, you want to get like an 85 or a 90 on Google Page Insights, right? So maybe you say, you know what, I may not get an 85% or a 90 on my desktop or my mobile, but I'm happy to live with a 75% or a 70%. I don't know, 70 is getting a little bit low. I would say 75, 72, right? Because we get a lot of questions from ICs that, their clients are also asking, they want to get 100% or 85 or 90. To do that, it requires a lot of work, because when you're working on a website, that website has specific standard widgets and scripts that it comes with, right? Specifically theme type, or websites or template type websites, it comes with default plugins. And also remember that when you're adding these widgets and plugins and scripts, specifically with plugins, some of these plugins are third party. Some of them, you don't really have the source code. So in order to actually make that plugin faster, you have to crack the plugin, go through the source code, optimize, etc. So it's a lot of programming, right? So you have to come into an agreement and make a conscientious decision where you make a sacrifice for speed if you want to have these widgets, because otherwise you'll just have a text-based homepage or pages, right? So anyhow, that's one of the key things that he talks about. The other key thing that they asked him was, does page speed score affect your ranking? And he talks about that the fact that the intent of the page speed score is the combination of the user experience and the performance, is to reflect some an approximation of the user experience, right? So it's not just based on full downloading scores, right? It's also based on user experience, and the goal is to have that score represent how quickly and how comfortably the page will load across a variety of different devices and different networking conditions, right? So from his experience, obviously, and that's true by default, generally speaking, faster pages, optimized pages deliver better user experience. So part of that user experience, again, is how fast the pages are, how optimized they are. So that's a very important aspect in regards to the way you're looking at page speed. Okay. Now he doesn't go openly and say that that it does affect your ranking. Because obviously he's in the engineering side, he's not in the search side, but he kind of alludes to the fact that, yeah, by default, obviously, it's page speed, or how fast websites download, or web pages, that's a ranking factor. So it just reconfirms the fact that it is a rank, in essence, it is a ranking factor. He doesn't go out there and say it. It doesn't mean that it's just one of the many factors, right? The other thing is, he talks about is this whole aspect of service worker APIs. And we kind of have briefly touched upon it because it's a little bit technical in our webinars in regards to Google's launch of Service Worker, which is basically a new API in the web browser. And as a matter of fact, he kind of goes in and explains it that it's actually a collection of APIs that come together to give web applications a set of new and richer capabilities to really bring it on par and actually consider better than some of the native experiences that you're going to have. Bottom line is, after I kind of went through the whole podcast and also going through the summary, uh, you know, the service worker is basically an API to allow for some features to work offline. So for some offline capabilities. So it is a technical aspect, and it's going to definitely be somewhat important because what a service worker does, it's basically part of that script, is able to, or API, sorry, is able to register itself. Once you go into a website that has a service worker API, it can download certain assets such as they are cached offline. Then in the future, when user comes back to the site, all of the requests are actually routed through that service worker script. So basically, kind of allows you to work, if you will, or to have some of those experiences a little, offline, right? So that's where Google is now looking specifically with tablets and mobile and so on. They kind of want to also have a look at the experience of offline capabilities. And the main question that they ask him is, well, will a service worker be a big focus for Google moving forward? And he goes, yes. In what way? A very large way on how do we build and how we build websites and how they're built. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we have to go out there and start doing, programming on all the sites that, through using service worker APIs. It really depends on a case-by-case scenario, right? It's still at this stage, service worker and applications or specific features, even within Google, are still in prototype mode. And they're still experimenting, but moving forward, meaning probably 2016, end of 2016, 2017, is something that we can look into the future. However, it's very clear already that it's going to be a game changer for a lot of different applications, right? So, very interesting podcast. This second part, not too keen myself because it's very technical, but you can kind of go in it and download the podcast, or sorry, listen to the podcast. But the key thing that I wanted to share with you was in regards to page speed, because we've been getting a lot of questions, and sometimes it's like, okay, where do you sacrifice page speed versus user experience, right? Excellent. I think this is the last article that I wanted to share with you, just to wrap up things up. New Year's, you're looking at in the next quarter, you're trying to create a marketing calendar, a content calendar for your client. How can we come up with better blog post topics? I think this is the challenge for many of us and many ICs when working with clients, because the client is definitely not providing us with what we need. However, blog posts or articles or content continue to be very important. According to HubSpot's most recent data, it shows that the more frequently a company blogs, the more inbound traffic they receive, regardless of company size. Both B2B and B2C companies see an increase in traffic the more frequently they publish blogs. So again, if your clients are still not helping you and they're not in the bandwagon and they're still not in the bus in writing blogs and content writing, hey, listen, they're just falling behind. However, they're your clients, so you still have to service them, provide a solution for them. So how can I come up with better blog post topics? This article, again, by Search Engine Journal. Three simple tips. I'm just going to leave you with three simple tips that the author talks about. One of them is what interests you, and not per se you, the IC, but in this case, what interests your client. So, apart from the fact that he does have a service, right? In a business, what you want to do is write about what interests you in your personal life. So he goes and talks about, well, if he has a taste for music, sports, movies, cooking, traveling, etc., and relate it back to the product or service. So perhaps you may want to chat with your client and ask him, okay, listen, what are some of the interests that you like? Maybe your client loves traveling, right? So how can you relate that traveling to the product or service that he's offering, right? So there is always a spin, right? There's always a way. And when you gather that information, remember, he's not writing it, you're not writing it, your content writer is writing it, or your production team, but at least get those ideas. What is that perspective? Right. So therefore, your blogs are not just dull and bland, but you're kind of adding a spin to it. And actually, the author talks about his love and passion for football. So what he does in his blogs is, he'll add an analogy of football or try to create, comparisons to football, etc. Right. So again, that's a very important topic that when you're doing your due diligence and your initial research with your client in regards to creating a marketing calendar, talk about that, or with his staff, right? You never know what ideas can you can come up with that can be written about, right? The other one's a very standard one, is what's on the calendar. So let the yearly calendar system relate to the event to your business. So many trades, many businesses, verticals, they do have standard calendars, that they follow. And all you have to do is pretty much, try to follow, try to sign up to an online a news letter, or a magazine that reflects your client's business. And from there, just by kind of visiting these online magazines or directories, you can actually start kind of getting a view of what's the calendar type for this vertical, right? And you can start writing on current events, and you want to make sure that, for example, if you want to talk about Christmas, talk about it, like I mentioned, 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas. Don't talk about it at Christmas time, like the day of or afterwards. It makes no sense. Similar thing, like for example, what's next in the agenda? Well, next in the agenda, for example, in Canada, I will tell you that the next thing in the agenda for us primarily, January is all about weight loss, right? It's a big push for weight loss and resolutions, etc. But typically in February we have two things. We have Family Day and we have Valentine's. So if Family Day is important and you want to kind of talk about that, it's something that relates to the Canadian, at least in Ontario, the Ontario audience, right? Either Valentine's or Family Day, right? In activities that you can do for family, for example, right? So you got to you got to post it in advance, give people time to find it, and then act on it before the current event has already happened. So you may want to kind of do some research before you meet with your client on, their specific vertical or industry. What does a calendar look like for their industry, right? What are the big events? It could be such as, trade shows, different things that are happening in their industry, right? The other thing is blog comments and social media mentions. So if prospects see you providing helpful tips on your blog to make their job easier, to help them sell more, to help them save money, then they'll develop more trust with you. So you're starting to develop that trust with your audience. And one of the key things that they talk about is, talking to your customers and solving problems for them. So how do we do that? So the key thing is, ask questions on their social media channels and even on their blog posts. I'm thinking about writing this article. What are your thoughts? Or get some feedback. Ask questions from your active users or even people that left reviews in the past. Maybe you're responding to the great review they posted, and you say, look, if this helped you, what would this also help you? Right? So the whole key thing is that use blog post comments and social media mentions to generate ideas. I will go something that I discussed in the past. I will actually go a little bit further, and you know what? Go look at your competition. Yeah, see what the blog comments are saying, what their social media are mentioning. Spend some time and basically just grab ideas from them, right? Those are things that you can actually do. Perfect. Um, um, oh, I think I had a bit of an issue with my, oops, with my GoToMeeting. So just sharing this with you. Excellent. Sorry about that. I guess I got caught up with the other one. So these are things that you can do very easily with your clients in 2016 to get more ideas on content, right? So I do have a couple of questions. One of the questions that I have today, and then we'll move on to some of the announcements. But the question that I have is, do we have to switch all the sites to HTTPS? No. It's really it's a good thing to do. It's a nice thing to do. It's something that over time you should do, but it's not a mandatory thing. It's not a mandatory that all websites, your client's website, should go under HTTPS. Yes, having secure websites, having that SSL certificate, having that HTTPS, it's part of the ranking factors. Is it the only ranking factor? Is it like the big ranking factor is going to boost your site? At this stage, no. It's just a ranking factor. It should be considered. They are, it's not that expensive. I think that you can pretty much get an SSL certificate for about anywhere between $99 per year from a hosting company to probably 150. I mean, it really depends, right? But if you can do it, yes, but it's not a mandatory. You must, stop everything to do that. Okay, that's number one. So the second one is, and I'm going to press pause here. I'm going to go back to that article. I kind of gave the wrong link on the article, and my apologies. Give me a quick second here. I gave the wrong article on um, on the aspect of forgetting your testimonials, as was on search engine land. So if you kind of want to take a little bit of a deeper review, I'm actually adding it in chat. So that talks about reviews and testimonials, and definitely you can kind of have a look at that. How you want to structure your new testimonials page or your new reviews page. Excellent. Not sure if Molly and Michelle are still online. I'm pretty sure they're there, but just
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just to wrap things up, wanted to let everybody know that three things that are happening next week. One of them, as I mentioned, we're going to have a guest speaker. John McKenzie from Integrity Leads will be joining us. I know that for many ICs, lead generation, prospecting is very key for 2016 to build their pipeline and getting down and dirty and focusing on that. So he'll be talking to us a little bit about some of his best business practices. Obviously, he'll talk about his services, but primarily, just to let you know, we're going to talk about best business practices from his experience. And I know John for many, many years. And as a matter of fact, even when they were part of Boundless lead generation team. So definitely he'll bring a lot of that experience and great guy. He will be giving us some of his best business practices for 2016. If you have your own in-house appointment setter, or you work with a third-party appointment setter, or you want to do it yourself, or etc., he'll give us some feedback on that best business practices. So John will be here next week. He'll be joining us, so look forward to that to that webinar, because definitely you don't want to miss. If you're in the process of really focusing on adding to your pipeline, that's very important. The second thing is that next week we're going to be announcing a new promotion on theme or templated websites, and definitely we have a special offer for the IC community that we'll be announcing. It's coming down the pipe, so definitely stay tuned. But if you have any questions and you want to take advantage of it, definitely feel free to reach out to Amalia and Michelle. I would probably say it's probably going to be launched by Friday or by Thursday. So feel free to reach out to Michelle or Amalia on that. So that's our website promotion of the month, and it's specifically for theme-based, template-based, websites. And sometimes, you know what, uh, because of the fact of the matter that you can add customize, there's certain levels of customization that you can do to a templated website. It may make more sense to your client, and we've seen a lot of requests from ICs, and that's why we're kind of doing this promotion in this month. The next thing is that we'll be getting a lot of questions in regards to ALM's capabilities in regarding to marketing automation. As you know, we were one of the first production teams that has really became a HubSpot certified partner, and we actually expanded because in reality we're pretty very in tune into lead generation. So we became a partner with Salesforce Pardot. We're a certified provider of Pardot implementations, and now we're also working very strong with Marketo, whether it be a simple Marketo implementation or integration to a full-blown monthly solutions service, as well as with Eloqua. So the reason I want to bring this up is we definitely believe, like many other ICs out there, that marketing automation is the next level of services for many ICs, specifically for those ICs that have very strong contacts in the corporate world. And the reason why we actually still continue to focus on HubSpot is because that's kind of it's not really marketing automation per se, because that's more of an inbound marketing tool. But many small, medium-sized companies are using HubSpot as a primary tool because they're the cost, right? So just wanted to kind of mention that if you do come across a specific client and they're asking you about marketing automation, let us know and we'll be more than glad to assist. We do have the in-house capabilities and team. As a matter of fact, I have a very strong marketing automation team in-house with expertise in HubSpot, in Marketo, in Pardot, Salesforce Pardot, as well as more intense Eloqua, Oracle Eloqua marketing automation solutions. So just wanted to share that with you. Definitely thank you for joining us today. We look forward to a great year with you. Definitely stop by next week. If you want to hear our previous webinars, go to youtube.com/WSI ALM. If you want to just get a hold of Michelle or Amalia or myself, here's our contact information. Definitely don't forget to rate us in K2. Any shout outs, that'll be great. It's always good to get some reviews from our audience. Any ideas that you have for 2016, again, um, um, feel free to reach out to us. One of the key things is, getting a question in regards to Act On. Act On primarily works as a CRM, but I know that they have a marketing automation tool, Sharish. So let me reach out to the team. I tell you that right now we have a pretty good foundation and great expertise, and we wanted to do that for 2016. The only challenge that we're having right now is that primarily we're working in the North American market, and just because of the resources that we have, it's but definitely we'll try to see how we can assist you. Again, everyone, thank you for attending this great webinar from Michelle and Amalia. Have yourself a great week and enjoy.